Greetings, inquisitive, smart, restless Gemini. My name is Eliane Nicole. I'm an astrologer and tarot card reader, and now I'm going to do the September 2020 forecast for the sign of Gemini. And you can watch this video if you have a Gemini sun, Gemini moon, or Gemini rising. And if you don't know your sun, moon, and rising, definitely contact me to get a reading. I'm going to start with a tarot layout, and then I'm going to talk about some of the planetary transits in the second half of the video. I'm going to do broad strokes of the planetary transits because there's just so much to talk about. So if you want specifics, one-on-one readings are the way to go. But these videos, especially if you watch your sun, moon, and rising, will give you a nice overview of the month ahead. And as we enter the month of September, we see a woman who is, she's out of alignment. She could be unhappy, she could be exhausted, she could be angry or annoyed. And we're covered by the moon, which makes sense. It's the full moon of Pisces, the first day of the month, so that's showing up. And so Gemini is going to really feel this new moon, I mean this full moon, it looks like, because, you know, Pisces is square Gemini, and so that square energy is a challenging aspect. However, squares, they require action, and so they usually result in manifestation. So there is, you know, an advantage, a flip side to that challenging energy. So Gemini could be feeling that at the beginning of the month. And then next month, September, you were crossed by the Hanged Man. And so this is your cocoon. You have to wait, you have to be patient. You're in a state of suspension right now. And, you know, just it's about cultivating the qualities that this state of suspension, you know, will build in you. The best qualities are balance, flexibility, you know, staying centered. Possibly a change in perspective, you know, happens next month for you. And the bases. So it looks like secrets coming out, possibly gossip of some kind. There could be an older woman in your life who is somehow out of alignment. What's leaving is the Four of Rods reversed. So this has to do with maybe an event that happened that had a twist around it, or it could have been an event that was postponed or delayed or canceled, something like that. What could come into being is the Knight of Swords. So this is a man, you know, for Gemini men, this is you. Maybe having a discussion with somebody, a tough discussion. For Gemini women, this means that there could be a man who wants to discuss something or is coming in to have a heated discussion perhaps. What will come into being, this is the Wheel of Fortune reversed. So it looks like with the Wheel of Fortune reversed, and particularly because there's some Uranus energy happening too, which I'll talk about more in the second half of the video, this could be an unexpected twist of events. And around mid-month. And fears or insecurities, the Knight of Pentacles. So this is a business proposal from a man or a financial proposal from a man, contract, business proposal, financial proposal. It could just be, if none of that resonates, then I would just say the fears or insecurities have to do with an earth sign man, perhaps a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. others see you as healing. That is getting past a getting over a financial or spiritual injury, maybe a loss of some kind. Positive feelings, the world reversed. So you have positive feelings, Gemini, about your vision coming to life, but it's not maybe exactly how you expected. And the outcome, the Three of Cups. So at the end of the month, it looks like you are having a good time, socializing with friends, celebrating. So that is the Tarot overview for Gemini for September 2020. And now we are going to talk about the planetary transit. So I already touched on September 1st is the full moon at 10:22 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast, I guess it's actually September 2nd. But anyway, it's the full moon of Pisces. And the Pisces full moon is, it's a very sensitive, emotional, psychic full moon. It's a very poetic full moon, very artistic, very musical. This is a good full moon to, dance beneath. And it's a watery full moon, And for Gemini is square Pisces, and so it's a tense energy like I described ahead. It can be a challenging energy, but it calls for manifestation. And actually this full moon is emerging Gemini in your 10th house of career and attainment. So that means it's going to illuminate this area of your life, and it may bring a challenge that requires action that's going to cause you to manifest. So harness this full moon energy and, dance away the tension underneath the beautiful light of the full moon. And September 5th, Uranus in Taurus is forming a semi-square with the North Node in Gemini. So the North Node, Gemini, is in your sign for the next year and a half, which if you've been following my videos. But this semi-square aspect is, with Uranus, has the air of surprise to it, the unexpected, and this involves the areas of your life. Uranus for Gemini is in the house of hidden karma. It can be the house of secrets. It can be the house of confinement, like having to do with hospitals or institutions, or even monasteries, or just solitude or being alone. And the 12th house can have to do with you directly, or it can have to do with, where you work, or people who were close to you in a way where you are still somehow affected by 12th house issues. And 12th house also has to do with addiction and recovery from addiction and that. So the 12th house has Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, shake-up, surprises, forming a semi-square with your first house, your North Node. And so there may be a blind spot in that your attention will be brought to in terms of your dharma and your purpose in life. And also on September 5th, I meant to let you know, September 3rd, Saturn is forming a quincunx with the North Node. And so that is bringing together your 8th house with your first house. So this is issues potentially having to do with, other people's money, such as loans, investments, inheritances, wills, debts, anything like that, taxes. It can have to do with sex or death in some cases. But that aspect is, it's like there's an adjustment needs to be made for you in that area between, yourself and your search for your, your alignment with your own purpose and North Star in life, plus, other people's money. Yeah, so September 5th, I wanted to keep going. Mercury goes into Libra. Gemini likes Mercury in Libra. It's a good energy because Gemini is trine Libra, so that's a harmonious flow. I think Gemini, you are going to be very talkative, very social, probably. Obviously people aren't doing real life events, but maybe there's going to be Zoom events or social distance, getting together with friends. It looks like, Mercury is traveling very quickly, and Mercury is the planet of communication. And so within the month of September, it will be in Virgo, Libra, and it will be in Scorpio at the end of the month. And so the communication dynamics are changing throughout the month. And at the beginning of the month, we enter the month with Mercury in Virgo, which is its home sign other than Gemini. So this is pay attention to this Mercury. Mercury is actually emerging as the evening star the end of August, first week of September. It's not one hard date, but it's a process that's happening. And when Mercury is already the planet of communication, how we think, how we speak, how we learn. But when Mercury emerges as the evening star, it has a message, and it's in Virgo where it rules and it's exalted. So it's a very it's considered an oracle. It's speaking to us. It has a message. And so for Gemini, that's happening in which house? That's happening in your 4th house of home. So look for that around the beginning, first week of September as well. But then Mercury moves to Libra, which I tell you is very talkative, very social. That's also in your 5th house. So it's very creative. For Geminis that are writers, this is a time to write. For Geminis that do anything creative, it's going to be a time to pour energy into your creative projects because, Libra, the planet of art and beauty, is in your 5th house, and Mercury, the messenger, will be traveling through there. And there will be some cool aspects going on in that time that I don't have time to go into right now without making this like an hour-long video. So I definitely contact Gemini to contact me for a birth chart reading, or if you've already had your chart done with me, check in for a transit reading. This is a good time for a transit reading. I recommend transit readings at least quarterly, like every 3 months, really, to stay tuned with your map, with your, with your chart. So anyway, what else? Also September 5th, Pallas is going direct, Pallas Athene, the asteroid. And this is very significant because this is all happening in your 8th house. And the 8th house has been a very prominent house for Gemini, rising especially in the year of 2020, because that's where Pallas Athene, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn have kind of been traveling like a little gang all year, and for all of us, it's in a different house, but for Gemini rising, it's in the 8th house. And that 8th house is such a deep house already, let alone having all of these very powerful planets kind of, lording over it and creating so much focus and attention there. But also a lot of expansion, a lot of, transformation, which I know is such a general astrological word, but, that's what it's about. I mean, and transformation is a form of evolution. And I mean, that's what we're here for. We are evolutionary beings. And the 8th house is really like a place in the chart that shows, rebirth. It shows regeneration. It shows, for some Geminis, you may be reinventing yourself actually throughout the year of 2020. But then that house also shows like death, and so for some Geminis, there could be a very significant death in your life, or more than one that you're dealing with in 2020. It's going to manifest for different Geminis slightly differently depending on your personal birth chart. But other things that the 8th house can deal with, other people's money is frequently something, and so it can have to do with investors, it can have to do with donors, fundraising, taxes, loans, inheritances, wills, debts. All of that stuff is 8th house. So there's so many different layers to the 8th house that, in general, through this next period of the year, the next year and a half, it's so good if you're a Gemini to know your birth chart and to have an understanding of how it works and to work with an astrologer, because there is something that comes together. We're not supposed to go spiritual matters all alone, because it's hard to be, objective about your own chart. And so working with a reader is really how you get the most out of it. And anyway, I digress. But I do think it's a good time for Gemini. And it's also interesting because all of the presidential candidates have all of this Gemini energy. Donald Trump is a Gemini. Pence is like a double or triple Gemini. Kamala Harris is a Gemini rising. And then Biden is a Scorpio. But I looked up his wife, Jill Biden, is a Gemini. And so there's all this Gemini energy around the election. And it's, undoubtedly all of these people, all of these characters who are running are, at a point of, aligning with their higher purpose in life. And really that's a theme for all Geminis right now, because you have the North Node traveling through your first house. Harness this powerful energy, Gemini. Be conscious of what's going on, And I'm going really slow, but that's okay. I'm just going to take the time it takes and relax. It doesn't matter. So September 6th, Venus enters Leo. And Venus entering Leo is entering your 3rd house. So that's going to be, again, very passionate, creative expression, speaking, presenting your work in front of others, maybe a lot of writing, but it's very, it's creative, it's passionate, it's bold, it's craving attention for your creative work. For some, it will manifest more romantically than creatively. Like, I always think about artists, because so many people I read for are creative people and artist people, but Venus can be art and creativity. It can also be romance and love. So this could be a time where you are being very affectionate in your communication with your mate, being very romantic, things like that. And what else? So September 9th, Mars goes retrograde. Okay, Mars retrograde. This is the aspect of the year because it's like, like I already talked to you about the Jupiter, Pallas, Athene, Saturn, Pluto clump that's been, and if you've been watching my videos, how the Jupiter, Pluto in particular have related to the surges and, COVID. And anyway, now Mars is in play, having a very tense conversation with those planets. It's a square. And like I said, squares, they bring up action. And so they bring up manifestation, but it doesn't mean it's easy while it's happening. Anyway, Mars retrograde, September 9th to November 13th, is by far the most heated part of 2020. And when I say heated, it's because Mars, the planet of war, is in Aries, the sign of the warrior, and it's fire. It's a lot of fire energy. And when that energy goes retrograde, because it's going retrograde, Mars is spending 6 months in Aries this year, which is the whole second half of the year. That Mars is usually going through a sign in 6 or 7 weeks. So, it's like the cosmos, they're letting us know there's really a lesson here. There's really something here that humanity needs to experience and grow from together, and also individually in our charts, wherever this is appearing, we are getting a master class in our own personal life. So this is both a collective experience and an individual experience, which is one of the things that I love about astrology, because it always keeps us in touch with that, the collective versus not versus, but the collective and the individual, and how they relate and how they are always moving together. We are always part of the one. But I think that now in 2020, people recognize it more than ever, because the physical dis-ease that's circulating and is making us have to pay attention to how connected we all are. But anyway, I digress. Mars retrograde is happening for you, Gemini, in the 11th house of friends and business associates. And so that house is a really hot house, because it has not only Mars retrograde, but Black Moon Lilith is there, Eris, the goddess of discord, is there, and Chiron, the wounded healer. They're all in that house. So even though the Mars retrograde is what I'm speaking about directly here, it's important to note that similar to the way Capricorn has a gang in that house, there's also a gang in the Aries part of the sky. And so in your chart, that's a conversation between the 8th house and the 11th house. So that's friends and business associates and all of that. But then it's also other people's money, contracts, loans, investors, inheritance could come up, wills could come up, alimony, any of these things. So these two parts of the Gemini rising chart are interacting, and basically with Mars going back and forth in this 6 months, second 6 months of the year, and particularly hot during the September to November sector, there's a master class for you in with friends and business associates about and Mars brings up issues of courage of your convictions. It brings up anger, frustration, how we channel that. It brings up our reactive nature. For Geminis who are in athletics, Mars is the planet of competition. So, there could definitely be, reversals with teams or groups with this aspect. And because, Mars is police, Mars is military, Mars is athletes. So on the collective, we're going to see, headlines around those issues. Those are going to be very prominent issues. And we're going to be seeing challenges with those areas. But just now it's such a Mars, as I read for you, Mars just squared Saturn, and the NBA literally shut down, boycotted games because of the police. So you see this interaction of the Mars energy, the athlete energy, the establishment, the system. And so it's happening on a collective, but it's happening in our personal charts too. And then, and if you want to know more about that, contact me for a reading. But September 12th, I didn't mention, so when Pallas Athene goes direct on September 5th, that's in your 8th house, which I described to you, the other people's money house and all of that. So that means now it's time to start taking action on the things that you've been re-strategizing in your mind since May. in that area of your life, in these 8th house issues. Then Jupiter goes direct next September 12th, and you should be seeing some rewards in that area for whatever the internal expansion or internal kind of spiritual, kind of philosophical expansion you did around these things will reap rewards in the as Jupiter goes direct. And again, this is slow. It's not going to be instant, but they're starting to move in the other direction. Before it was very, very retrograde for a long time, and everyone was feeling very frustrated with that energy, wanting to move forward and feeling held back. And so it's starting to loosen up, even though it's going to be a slow process. It's starting to loosen up. And energetically, you're going to feel it, and it's time to start to make the moves. So Jupiter direct brings blessings. That's around the 12th. And September 17th is the new moon of Virgo. And the new moon of Virgo is emerging in your 4th house, the house of home. So it's a good time. It's about making a new start around home, a new start around the mother, a new start around issues of like legacy, wealth, land, real estate, any of these issues, because it's emerging in your 4th house, specifically Gemini. And then of course it should also include all of the Virgo themes, which are like about self-improvement, cleansing, detoxing, purging, decluttering, cleaning house, organizing, service to others, things like that, health and fitness. So it's setting intentions around all of that. So very important, new moon energy for Gemini. I do an altar. I think it's always good to have a ritual around the new moon for everyone. And September 20th, Juno enters Scorpio. Juno enters Scorpio, that would be in your 6th house. So for those of you who are married, this could bring up health issues for your spouse, maybe conversation around health issues for your spouse. September 22nd, the sun enters Libra, so it's Libra season. Gemini loves Libra season. Libra and Gemini are trine, so it's harmonious energy. I think it's going to be a very creative time for Geminis who are artists, a very social time for Gemini. This is also going to be a time where there's, focus on justice and equality, and hopefully a lot of like communication around that, and hopefully some good news around that as well during this period. And September 25th, I'm not going to get into that one. September 27th, Ceres retrograde enters Aquarius. Aquarius is also trine Gemini. And so Aquarius, Ceres, for Gemini, this has to do with nurturing yourself or others in terms of the area of higher truth. Spirituality, travel, exploration, religion, cross-cultural experiences of some kind. So maybe you are going to nurture this area of your life, or find a way to nurture others around these themes. So that's what that is. And maybe you're going to be reflecting on that more so than doing it outwardly right now. You're going to start reflecting on how you can do that. And then Mercury enters Scorpio on the 27th as well. And when Mercury enters Scorpio, it looks like there's going to be, again, deep conversations with your partner, possibly about their health. There could be deep probing conversations if you have employees in that area as well, or something like that. And also let's see, At the end of the month, gosh, this was a long one. Had a lot to say to Gemini. At the end of the month, Saturn finally is going direct in the 8th house. So that's really going to be, once October comes, there's going to be some forward movement for you and things that have been maybe on hold, delayed, that have been more of an inward experience for you since May are going to start to manifest on the outside, start to slowly unfold and move forward. So that's the overview. If you liked the video, give me a like. If you didn't like it, give me a don't like. Please subscribe to my channel. If you have not already, please follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole. There I'm doing more regular updates to add upon what I've told you here as the month unfolds. So I would love for you to be a part of my community there, and have a wonderful, wonderful September, Gemini.